For Dads in the Six, I'm Nicholas Mazzeo.
And I'm Jamie Campbell. We're going.
We're live here, back in the Dad 6 studio.
What's your topic today?
I want to talk about nostalgia. Feeling nostalgic. Nostalgia.
Okay.
The reason, I don't know why I necessarily have been feeling nostalgic. I think part of it is like I had a cousin who passed away a couple months ago now. So there's just been that kind of like that part of that process, I think, has been nostalgia come up. And for me, it's been centered around video games, specifically like old school sort of Nintendo stuff. Because growing up, me and that cousin, we would play together, but like he was like 4 years older than me. So he was always like way better at video games. So I remember a lot of like watching him play and like, you know, I would get to like the third level and then like I can't do this anymore. And he'd play and like do better. So
I find that I'm not the younger child, so I can't relate. But my brother used to watch me play like Final Fantasy, like, and that's not something. I mean,
I remember that.
I could see the entertainment in it, but 90% of that game is you just fighting the same
Grinding.
enemies over and over again, right? There's very little story, and actually he didn't care about the story. So why are you watching? But yeah, he's like 7, right? Like,
yeah, but an RPG is kind of a different beast, right? Like to watch someone play Super Mario could be pretty entertaining, or like Castlevania or something.
So we sticking mostly to games here because you were primarily a console gamer.
Yeah,
I didn't jump into the console world till around PS1.
No, do what you want with this conversation.
Okay.
My entry point, my whole entry point is this convo is starting with video games, but there's nostalgia on like
Many
different levels,
yeah,
right? And I think that a lot of our audience would connect to that. So for me, it was just like, so he passed away, and then I've always, you know, who doesn't have a soft spot for Nintendo? So for me, it kind of came back hard, and I'm like discovering retro gaming a little bit. And like for me, I have soft spots for like things like the Super Nintendo or like the Game Boy or the Game Boy Advance. And so I'm slowly creeping back into that for me.
And from what I understand, you're not using like an emulator on a PC or an Android sort of emulator. You're playing like your old school Game Boy, or you're trying to.
Yeah, old school Game Boy. I would love to grab, like, it's not even like super old, but like I would like to grab a GameCube. Like there's a connection, like the GameCube I think is an awesome system, good games. It's literally just a box with a handle on it. It's so sick. So it's just like there's certain like areas there that I kind of want to get into and like re-explore. And so I'm like thinking about it, like why is this such a thing? Why does nostalgia kind of like play this role of trying to get back in touch with those things? So I can make the base connection, like, okay, my cousin passed away, so some of this is kind of like in memory, some of this is kind of like, you know, just this fun way to reconnect, but also like not just based on my cousin, but it's like, oh yeah, this is like legit fun, and it brings you back to memory. So I don't know, what are your kind of thoughts?
I have very fond memories of holding my Game Boy and Game Boy Advance and Game Boy Color and DS, but I don't have the best memory for like, oh, this game or that game, especially not on consoles. I have a very few amount of console games that I can remember really well playing them. Metal Gear Solids, the Final Fantasies, but like Game Boy Advance, other than Pokemon, I probably couldn't name you a single game that I played on them that I had very fond memories of, but I can picture myself holding the consoles in my hand.
Yeah.
The number one game I played on Game Boy, the original, was the baseball. Like I think it was just called baseball. And it's just you could, like, nowadays in NHL, like you have the deke, right? Like the move that always works against the goalie.
Yeah.
Back then you could time the hit every time. Just home run. But yeah, that's my biggest memory from console. I think like old console was baseball.
Yeah, and for me, so it's like nostalgia for me is centered around gaming right now, and it's like we were kind of talking about this earlier upstairs about, like, you know, you have like your vinyl records, and like I wouldn't say you're nostalgic because you didn't really grow up with vinyl records, but there's like something oddly satisfying about grabbing this like archaic sort of ancient technology at this point, and like, you know, you got like this big box from your dad that's been sitting in storage for 20 years. Is it gonna work?
Yeah, it's a record. It's going to work. It's like putting a CD into your, as long as it's not scratched, just putting a CD into your radio player or a computer. But there's something about a record. I expect when I pick up a CD and I put it in something, whether it's a Blu-ray or whatever, I expect it to work. I'm not fascinated by a CD, even though it's a great piece of technology. But
Right.
something about holding a vinyl and putting it on this player, and the music coming out, it's like it was like bewilderment. It was just like, wow, it still works. But it's
Yeah.
a record. Like it doesn't really degrade, I don't think. I mean, I don't know about vinyls all that much. Maybe we'll have a specialist on in a couple weeks. But yeah, it was something about it. Something about hearing the music from something that's been sitting in storage for 20 years. I couldn't explain the feeling. I couldn't.
That's the
explain
thing for me. Like, like for people who might not be in the know, you could I have games right now on my phone. You could very easily download what's called an emulator and essentially play old school Nintendo, old school Game Boy games right on your phone, right,
Yeah.
with the touch screen and all that.
It just doesn't translate well.
It doesn't translate, and there's a connection, and there's like this oddly nostalgic feeling, right, which is kind of like what's feeding into this for me. Of like, I got my Game Boy. It's a brick, right? And it's like one game at a time. You got to pop it, and there's just that satisfaction of like the click of the game in, the click of the switch, that original Game Boy sound, like the logo just drops down, goes ding, and it's just like you don't, and then the 8-bit,
Remember the horror of like the battery light coming on?
yeah,
Ugh.
yeah, it turns red.
I need to find 4 AA batteries right now.
And those 8-bit sounds, the soundtracks, kind of like the simplicity of it all, too. Like, I could go buy the new God of War game, which is like everyone's favorite game right now. And I'm sure it's an amazing game, but there's just something oddly satisfying about, like, I turn on, I hit start, I'm in the game.
Yeah.
I'm in the game. I'm playing like Turtles in Time, playing Metroid.
Yeah, you're right into a level. You're good to go.
You're good to go. And it's just like, it's just pure gameplay, which is like hitting this nostalgic kind of nerve for me right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I don't know where I was trying to go with that. I think I'll get there, but there's just something about that connection to that physical piece.
I don't think there needs to be words or sentences to describe what you're feeling. I think it's just nostalgia is what you're feeling.
Yeah.
I wanted to stop. I know that we're like 6 minutes into this topic, but I remember there's a hashtag going around right now.
Yeah.
GameStruck
Mm-hmm.
4. GameStruck 4.
Yeah.
Did you end up completing your 4? Did
No,
you give it some good thought?
I did, but I'll be honest.
It's the 4 games that define you as a person is how I understood the hashtag. 4 games that made Nick. 4 games that made Nick. What would they be?
I gave it some thought. I legit couldn't come up with 4 games I can come up with 2, but I couldn't come up with 4. Maybe,
I came up with one for you that maybe isn't on your list, and I think defines how I remember Nick.
and it's hard because for me, it's just like, maybe I don't put enough stock, as much as I love video games and that sort of thing, is maybe I don't put enough stock into like, oh, this was really a formative piece. Even if I try and look back on it, like for me, I would say Metal Gear Solid.
Oh, okay, that was the one I had for you.
Yeah, I mean,
Damn it.
And like Pokemon Red and Blue.
Yep, that was the other one I had for you.
Like Metal Gear Solid.
Nick, Metal Gear and Pokemon.
Pokemon Red and Blue. I remember. So I had my Game Boy, and I think it must have came out like around my birthday, because I went to Toys R Us, and this was obviously pre-internet and all that shit. I went and I saw the game like on the shelf, and a square box. All I remember seeing, I got Pokemon Red because it had Charizard on it. And I'm like, cool, a dragon, and like that's it. And I think I had remember seeing the word Pokemon in like a Nintendo Power or a Game Pro magazine. Like, oh, because that's how you bought games back in the day. It's just like, oh, I think I heard about that in an art. I read that somewhere. Yeah, I'll get it. Ended up blowing my mind. That was like my first RPG, turn-based RPG. Ended up blowing my mind. My brother ended up getting it. Obviously, he's like 6 years younger than me. That game was even beyond.
You made him get the other color. Obviously.
Yeah, he got blue. It was beyond him. So eventually, I just stole that cart and just hoard that card out. Essentially, what I did is I would like restart it, collect the Pokemon I need, reset to get the other starter Pokemon, and then I would just like trash that cart just as like a pure like feeder cart to just. And I got all 150 Pokemon, and like I was like, that was probably the most accomplished thing I'd ever done at that time.
Imagine, and there's no achievements back then, right? You didn't have a little thing in your profile that said,
it's just like,
good job, 10
and that
points.
cart's
10
way
points.
gone. It's so much so was Pokemon important to me that the very first, I'm like 99% sure this is accurate, the very first website I went to was Pokemon.com.
I couldn't even tell you what mine was.
Like I'm 99% sure that's how it went because we didn't have the internet. You know, everyone obviously now everyone has the internet, but back then it's like staggered. Someone would have it, and I went to a family friend's house, and I'm 99% sure that was like the first time I went in. I went Pokemon.com.
Nice.
And then yeah, and I can go on a whole tangent about Metal Gear, but
Do you want to hear my GameStruck 4?
yeah,
Okay. The most obvious, like if this is GameStruck 1, it's World of Warcraft.
oh yeah.
That game raised me. It taught me what a game could be. That game was Another Life. I know there was a game called Another Life.
Yeah, Second Life or something.
Yeah, Second Life. But no, that game, like, I made lifelong friendships in that game.
Yeah,
I made so many friends.
you almost ruined lifelong friendship.
Yeah, I guess kind of. Yeah, that game took over my life. Would I do it differently? I don't know. I don't know if I could answer that. I know at one point it got bad, and I think that's when I started to say, okay, this is starting to get bad for me. Around the getting the girlfriend time, like somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, we can talk about World of Warcraft. Could be its own episode one day. Diablo 2.
Uh-huh.
That's just my classic PC game for life type of thing.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy 8 was my first Final Fantasy.
Oh yeah, I could throw that in there. Yeah, I guess.
And then SimCity.
Mm.
SimCity.
One?
No, it would have been
2000?
2000 and 3000.
Yeah.
I sort of played them equally, and then 3000
Yeah.
took over.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think those 4 games are define me. SimCity just for the OCD, the planning and logistics and micromanaging. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like now with my whole retro fueled game approach, I'm replaying games that I never gave the time of day to because when we were growing up, like an old school Nintendo game, it was old but not old enough at that point, like, you know, in the mid to early 90s, like the original Metroid or the original, you know, Legend of Zelda.
Right.
It's just like
I'd love to put Zelda on that list, but I don't know,
like for example, like I've never beat the original Legend of Zelda. Like it's hard, and it was always one of those games. But like replaying it now, like I have a lot of these games on like my 3DS all digital. And again, that's the other thing is like it's so easy to just go digital. But again, nostalgic satisfaction having these carts.
Yeah.
You just pop them in. But I'm replaying a lot of these games now, and actually, like I'll be honest, I've never beat Super Mario World, like the Super Nintendo. Because I never had a Super Nintendo, so I would just play it sporadically, play off my cousin's save files and stuff. Just like now I'm replaying it, and I'm like, I'm going to beat this game. And like as I beat these, you know, I beat like an old Metroid. I'm playing games I never gave time to, like Mega Man's, Castlevanias. I'm like, these are like legit. These are just pure gameplay, and that's what makes it awesome for me.
as you know.
Yeah.
So, do you have another point?
Yeah. No.
So, as you know, I'm playing through Final Fantasy VI, which is well known by far the greatest Final Fantasy of all times to most people.
Yeah.
I have issue with that because I didn't play it at the time.
Right.
And I don't think you can retroactively instill nostalgia into something. So playing Final Fantasy VI now isn't doing it for me. It's just not. I'm sorry. It's just not. For me, Final Fantasy 7 and 8 are better Final Fantasies. And I'm saying that just because I think you had to experience, like, if you were to go watch like The Matrix now,
Yeah.
would you be blown away if it was the first time you're seeing it?
Yeah.
Like me, like I'd be fangirling. Like if Link grows up one day, like you have to watch The Matrix, he probably wouldn't give a shit.
Yeah. I wonder if there's again, if like I'm playing Final Fantasy IV, which is another highly regarded RPG and stuff. I'm playing it on my Game Boy Advance. It got
So the original.
the
Because
original.
the problem with Final Fantasy VI is they up the graphics, right? Like they changed the sprites
a little bit.
and the menus and stuff. But I looked at what the old game looked like. I'd have a tough time getting through it.
But there again, I'm playing it. So it got re-released on the Game Boy Advance, like as a Game Boy Advance cartridge, and with some updates. But like, there's something oddly satisfying about playing it on a physical piece of hardware with the buttons and the things. And like, I've almost done that game. I think for me, like I think this is the point I was trying to get to. For me, I guess this is what all nostalgia is sort of based off of. It's that simpler time. And so I think, you know, because we are a dad-based podcast, as kids mess up our lives and take away time and change our priorities, to just fire up, like, you know, even got the, you know, newly released Super Nintendo Classic, to just fire that up and hear like that chip tune sound
and beat a level. Like in 5 minutes, just beat a level.
Just beat it and just
and then come back to it.
Fire that up. It's just like it brings you back. Like I would even go nostalgic as far or as early. I don't know how you want to consider it as like early 20s. Like by our mid to late 20s, we had wifed and mortgaged up. So it's just like done, right? Like even we didn't have kids then, things had progressed to a change. Like even like that 21-year-old phase is just like we might have even been done school. So now you're just kind of working. You just have this disposable income and time.
Do you feel envious of all those people that, come on, like let's be real here, all the friends on Facebook that haven't had kids yet or jumped through that getting married hoop? Do you feel envious about those people?
Not envious to an yes and no, right? Like not envious to that extent of like, but at the same, I'm also, if anything, a little judgy. If I'm being transparent here, I'm also a little judgy. I'm like, yo, get on with your life, man. Like, as jealous as I am, as envious as I am, that you could go spend $80 on freaking God of War and have it already beaten. You know, at the time of this recording, God of War came out on the Friday. It's like a Wednesday now or Tuesday or some shit.
People have cleared that platinumed.
It's just like no. Like, come on, like, bro. Like, you gotta move on.
I'm gonna put my 30 minutes a day into it.
Yeah,
take my time.
Yeah, and like, you know, you're gonna then forget about it for 3 months and then come back to it.
This is a completely side note, but I'm playing through Final Fantasy, like I said, and because it's on iOS, they assume you're gonna be playing it in like 30-minute spurts or 20-minute spurts. So there's a quick save feature, which wasn't in the original game.
Yeah,
man, the save points in that game are so few and far between that I don't know how people like I would have had to play that game for 6 hours at a time just to not lose my progress.
I replayed Earthbound, another highly regarded Super Nintendo RPG, on the 3DS because it got released there. It has the quick save states. I would go through an entire, dungeons. You can't save in dungeons. You can save only on the overworld. We're nerding out here, but like you can only save in dungeons unless there's a very specific save point. I would use that save point, those quick saves, all the time. I'm like, no. If I had to die and replay this whole dungeon, no, I wouldn't have beaten this game. For me, it's like that simpler time, I think, and it's just what makes that connection. To move on a little bit from nostalgia just being video game based, I guess I was thinking also a question like, well, we're not really nostalgic hardcore, but has nostalgia at any point caused you to buy or do some sort of impulse purchase? Or like, again, this whole vinyl thing, it's not really nostalgic for you. Maybe it's a new hobby.
No, yeah, I would say yes, though. Like, putting aside the vinyl thing, I'd say definitely. I think we bought the SNES Classic. Dude, like, I turned it on the day I got it, and I haven't turned it on since.
Yeah.
I think Link's getting soon where I could, like, let him play it a little bit more. He's touched it, but he doesn't really know what he's doing. So I think that'll come back into play soon. But even if you think to the Wii U, would I actually have bought those consoles if it wasn't Nintendo on the box? Like, would you consider that nostalgia, right? Like,
yeah,
I have so many fond memories of Nintendo, Mario, all that stuff, right? Made me buy the Wii U.
Yeah.
That console sucked.
Yeah. I've probably spent $40 on retro gaming stuff. Nothing really. And I just don't plan on getting hard. But I've obviously searched the YouTubes now, and it's just like, these people who have like an entire complete NES collection or like whatever collection of retro gaming stuff, and it's just like
it's a bad hole to go down.
Bad hole to go down to. It's somewhat an investment because the price is going up for a lot of this stuff, but like
see Vanessa's like book collection, right? Like in this office. Imagine starting that now from ground zero, right? Yeah. She's accumulated this over tens of years.
Yeah,
decades. Decades is what they call it.
Yeah, that's a good word.
So like the fact that I'm saying you want to, but if you were to try to start that collection now, it'd be a task and a half and expensive.
Yeah, and then it's just like I guess nostalgia plays a point too in like how you maybe like hoard things, right? Because like, if it's up to you, you'd probably like chuck half those books. Be like, this is too much space.
If it was up to me,
that's what I mean. You,
Vanessa,
but like Vanessa, like there's like nostalgia. There's a thing there, right?
But I see then the opposite is my comic books, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
if someone came to me right now and offered me $20,000 for all my comic books, which is probably what they're worth, I'd take it. I think I'd probably be torn, but I'm not the most sentimental person.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at the space they're taking up out there.
Yeah. What about movies, TV shows.
That looks like a good spot for a break.
Uh,
All right, we'll pick this conversation up after the break.
Yep.
All right.
Hey guys, Nick here. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to us on iTunes, YouTube, Google Play, or wherever you're listening from. And if you're feeling extra kind, drop us a comment or a 5-star review. They go a long way to helping our little podcast grow and get noticed. Also, check us out at Dads in the Six on Instagram or Twitter, where you can keep up to date on show schedules, information, and just our general day-to-day lives. Now let's jump back into this week's episode. We're back. So one of the questions we were kind of discussing during our break was
Our long pause.
was to me, I have a hard time trying to figure out if nostalgia is more than just things that are umbrellaed under entertainment mediums. So like
books, movies,
books,
TV shows.
yeah. Like, is there more to nostalgia? Like, could it be like your mother's wedding dress that got handed down to you? I don't know, whatever, or a wedding, your grandmother's necklace.
Is
that nostalgia, or is that like heirloom? Right,
hand me down.
Right, you wouldn't get rid of because to me nostalgia would have to be something you've experienced
or consumed, right? I think,
consumed,
yeah.
and
a song
that brings back. Because like, I don't know, for some reason I can't think of anything other.
Could you
than
be
like
nostalgic
heirlooms.
about the days you played soccer as a kid? Is that you could? Yeah, you could.
Yeah,
it's entertainment.
Because we're nerds, so we grew up with like video games and movies and cartoons. Whereas like the more jock kids. Well, you played sports, but like growing up, like playing sports all the time, like maybe that was your entertainment, and that reminds you of that simpler
like
time.
Going to the rink with my dad. Like, I'm nostalgic about that.
Yeah. Grabbing that hot chocolate and donut or something like on your way to the rink or something. Like you could then go today and grab a hot chocolate and a donut, and it might bring back those memories. I guess, right? Nostalgia.
Yeah.
Nailed
so the answer is yes.
Nailed it.
Yeah. I did movie struck.
But let's stay with entertainment media.
I played hockey. Cool.
Yeah, cool.
Cool, man. Cool. I did movie struck.
Yeah.
My list ended up being like 8 movies. I could probably get rid of some of these and give them to you.
Which you will.
I'd let you take Ninja Turtles off my list.
Oh yeah.
I'd let you take
mine.
Lord of the Rings off my list.
No. I don't give a shit about Lord of the Rings.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought you did.
No.
Star Wars isn't on my list.
Okay.
But Mighty Ducks is.
Mm-hmm.
Saw.
Mm-hmm.
Matrix, but I could lose it.
Mm.
The Lion King.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the most important movie of my childhood. If I'm being honest.
Yeah.
I think that made you realize a lot of things growing up, like death and
love. All those Disney
family.
movies had like. Death.
I think that movie taught me life, death, and family.
The circle of life, if you would.
That's what they call it. Toy Story.
Oh yeah.
And Jurassic Park.
Obviously. We've already done a whole episode about those idiots who didn't like.
I heard you're not watching Westworld.
Yeah.
So fix that.
Nah.
Fix that.
Nah.
But B, my brother recently. It's the most obvious comparison. But my brother, the premiere for season 2 just happened.
Yeah.
My brother pointed out to me. He's like, "This is like Jurassic Park." I'm like, "Holy shit! It literally is. Just replace dinosaurs with robots, and it's basically the same thing. Theme park, it's Jurassic Park. I don't know why I just didn't like click that. And please watch it.
I'll try. I'll see what I can do, but I'll promise you I won't. For me, like definitely the first Ninja. Like, so I have a Blu-ray collection back when people still bought Blu-rays and DVDs and movies. I would sell them all right now for 50 cents a pop, except for my trilogy Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Blu-ray collection.
The one you would keep.
The one I would keep, because it's like a collector's edition. It even comes in like a pizza style cardboard, so it looks like a box pizza. Even the bottom has like the grease ring, like how the pizza would leave a grease ring at the bottom. It's like so sick, so nice.
Is it so? It doesn't have like a square bottom at all, right? Like you couldn't stand that on a shelf.
Oh yeah.
Oh okay.
Yeah, it's thick. It's like,
I thought it'd just be some of those annoying things like you couldn't stack it like a stack of books.
Oh yeah, you could.
Okay.
You could. Yeah, it's like a perfect rectangle, but yeah, like that would be the one I wouldn't give up. I remember.
I'm an idiot. Let me
What?
just rewind here for a second and explain my thought process.
Uh-huh.
You said pizza box. I thought pizza. Thus,
like
the
a
box was
triangle?
circle,
Oh, circle.
like a whole pizza.
Oh, right.
So I didn't
Like a
like,
pizza
hey,
box
pizzas
comes
can
in a
come in a
square.
square. Yeah, no. I thought circle the whole time we were having that conversation.
I saw something on 420 recently, like a meme.
Smoke weed every day.
Smoke weed. Someone said, pizzas are round, come in a square box, and we eat them as triangles.
Holy
and
shit.
someone's mine. You just see like smoking a blunt. He's just like, what? That's too real. So I don't. Yeah, Ninja Turtles definitely, Jurassic Park. Like those are the kind of movies that like when they're on like Superstation. I don't know what they call themselves now, Peachtree. Like it's just like, all right, I'm watching this. And again, it brings. I used to watch Ninja Turtles every day after school. I had the VHS. I'm pretty sure I burned through the tape. Because how many times I would watch it. And yeah, but like I look at like, granted, our kids are still toddler age, and like, there no way they're gonna be nostalgic over Paw Patrol. Like that's too young, right? Like that's too young.
Yeah, they won't remember.
Well, like, would you like? Are we nostalgic about Sesame Street?
No.
I like when it's on. Like now, like I realize it's still on now that I have a kid, and like it's cool. Like
I still think when you were watching Sesame Street, you were still watching it well into your 6s and 7s and 8s, right?
Yeah,
Mr.
maybe.
Rogers, even like I'm nostalgic about him ish. But
R.I.P.
what age
last
was
year.
I? I wasn't watching that. I wasn't watching that when I was 2 or 3, or maybe I was. I don't remember. But if they're still watching Paw Patrol in the next 5 years, they might remember it.
Yeah, if I feel like
But-
I feel like, but you know,
how
like,
much you really remember from being 7, even 7?
that's what I'm. No, that's what I'm saying. I would like Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers, G.I. Joe, Transformers, all those Saturday morning cartoon lineups. Like I think you were in it at 7. That's what I mean. Our kids aren't gonna remember Paw Patrol. I think Paw Patrol is like educational shit.
Yeah.
This is what they.
We were 7 when Power Rangers was out.
give or take.
I'm
We were born in 1985, so by 92, 93, was there Power Rangers? Maybe not, but I would say before we were 10. Maybe we were 10. That whole Saturday morning cartoon lineup, though, like, come on, how could you not be nostalgic for that sort of thing?
93.
Right there, bro.
We were 8.
Okay. I could have still been 7, man. I have a
you
late
could've,
birthday.
You could have.
Yeah, man, to me, like, that stuff just hits that spot.
That's got to be the first age then when you really start to remember stuff then.
Yeah,
Because I don't
you
think there's
would
much
develop-
before that.
where you would then develop nostalgia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And for me, I guess maybe the last point, I'm not a music guy, but like, you know, like, how does it not bring you back when you hear like No Doubt come on the radio, right? Like you got the record there, like even like stuff I didn't grow up like 80s music. We were born in the 80s, but you know, we were young.
Like Journey.
Or like even like again,
But
Michael
see,
Jackson, like
Is Journey nostalgic though? Like yeah, we jam to it, we sing along in the bar or whatever when it comes on. But
No,
it's not nostalgic to us.
Journey specifically, no. But like that's what I'm saying. Like maybe there's a fine line there too. But like there's something like okay, I can appreciate like it's. I guess it's also maybe this is just an old man thing now because now it's just like you see like some of these like hip hop. I'm doing air quotes rap artists who come out who are hitting like the Billboard Top 100. Remember that one I sent in the group chat? He has like rainbow teeth and hair, Takashi or something.
This is totally dad talking.
This is totally dad talk right now. Who fucking listens to this guy? And then you hear like, again, because Michael Jackson's looking at me right now. Michael Jackson comes on, bad, Thriller album, whatever. It's like, you know what? I didn't really care for this music at its time because, you know, it just wasn't my thing.
You can appreciate it.
But now I'm like, fuck, this is like, he was, I guess, the king of pop. Like this guy was legit. Even Elvis, the Beatles, Johnny Cash, like when these artists come up now, not music I grew up with, but like there's this tinge of nostalgia for me now that's just like, man, this is good. And then you hear this. That's why I don't listen. I only listen to podcasts like ours now. I don't listen to radio. I can't listen. I'm the snob now, even though I'm not a music snob. I'm the dad now. Like I can't listen to what the kids are listening to nowadays.
No.
I just can't. So, anything else for music or anything else?
No, I think that's good. It was a good educational start.
Let us know what you're nostalgic for in the comments down below in the non-YouTube videos we don't do.
They're there.
Yeah, they're there. But yeah, that's about it.
See you guys next week.
Bye. Dads in the Six is hosted by Jamie Campbell and me, Nicholas Mazzeo. We're produced and edited by Jamie Campbell. Our theme song is Nobody Speak by DJ Shadow and Run the Jewels. All of our other music is by Antonio Di Gregorio. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you all next week.